Return at 3.
Positive rotation. Ignition. You guys have a nice flight. We'll see you back here.
Welcome to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast of the Illinois Air National Guard at Scott Air Force Base. I'm your host, Master Sergeant Brian Ellison. The Roll Call podcast focused on people, mission, and community. Welcome to our new podcast studio. We have a new podcast studio here in the Public Affairs. Our guest this week is the 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander, Colonel Nick Henschel. He talks about his path to the 126th, explains the wing strategy, and he answers one burning question. Speaking of that burning question, the National Guard of Illinois, NGAI, is sponsoring a group outing to Busch Stadium to see the Cardinals beat the Cubs, or to see the Cardinals and the Cubs. Friday, July 12th at 7:15. To get tickets, see Lieutenant Colonel Okonewski in Wing Safety, or you can email him for tickets. He does take Venmo. Registration for the Enlisted Association of the National Guard of the United States, EANGUS, is going on now. It's the 18th through the 21st of August in Detroit. You can go to eangusconference.org. That's EANGUS conference.org. Following EANGUS, this is a first, they're holding it in Detroit. The EANGUS and NAUGUS are being held together in Detroit. NAUGUS, the National Guard Association of the United States, is in Detroit August 23rd through the 26th. You can go to NGAI.com to register. That's NGAI.com to register.
Hello, DAF riders. The 2024 riding season is upon us. Sadly, we lost 22 airmen to motorcycle accidents and 194 total motorcycle mishaps last year. Most of these mishaps could have been prevented. What could we have done better? Most of our mishaps and deaths were a result of excessive speed, intoxication, not wearing PPE, and a lack of training and practicing. Some of our riders even received line of duty determinations, losing benefits for themselves and their families. What can you do to help protect yourself, your family, and your mission readiness? Practice. Your skills are your number one defense on the road. Wear your PPE. Follow DAF regulations. Attend DAF rider training, even if you're a seasoned rider. Slow down. And finally, don't drink and ride. It's just not worth the risk. And as always, keep it shiny side up.
Joining me in our new podcast studio, the 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander, Colonel Nick Henschel. Sir, thanks for joining us in the new studio.
Hey, good afternoon. Still has the new building smell.
Yeah, it does.
Very nice.
It
nice
is
facility.
great. Yeah, we've got some padded walls, so that nice sound dampening walls. It's great in here, and I have to admit, I did not think we would have it done as fast as they got it done.
Kudos to CE, right?
Yeah.
Getting it done. That was awesome.
It was amazing. So how's your first 8 months going as commander?
The first 8 months has flown by, right? And it's still like a fire hose. I explain it to that way to people that just flooded with information. I'm learning a ton in the first 8 months. And I think, it's awesome. I love it. I love the fact that I have one job. That's another thing that I joke about. For the last 20 years, I've had two jobs, civilian job on the side, and then DSG, part-time military service. And it's fun to be able to have one job. It's a military job, and I can focus on all the things that I wanted to do. So my last two assignments were DSG commanders.
Right.
And that's for those of you out there that are in that status. It's very difficult because there's a lot of things that you want to do and you just don't have enough time to do it. So you rely heavily on your full-time staff and your DO, which is good. But as a commander, I think it's good to be around and be here full-time. And so, yeah, that's probably the best part, the fact that I'm here full-time and I can implement a lot of the changes and things that I've been interested in doing for a while.
Sure. You kind of touched on it, but yeah, as a DSG, maybe you have tips for a DSG commander who's out there. How did you juggle that?
It was difficult. I don't know that I did it very well, but as I said, relied heavily on my full-time staff, so the DO, and the full-time staff that there was there full-time. So communication was a big piece of that. So communicating frequently with the DO and the senior enlisted leader throughout the month while I was doing my civilian duty. And I think clear expectations, right? Making sure that we're all on the same page. And I think just fundamentally, balancing all of the different things that we have to do, right? So I leveraged a lot of telework responsibilities. I was working at night after the kids were in bed, teleworking, doing things online, dialing in when I could to meetings, and just balancing all the schedules that I had and filling the blank space with all the different things I had to do. So yeah, it was difficult.
So are you ever, as the commander, do you ever have to pinch yourself and go, wow, I'm the commander of the 126th Air Refueling Wing?
Yes. So hanging up in my office, right when you come in the door to the right, is the wing photo that we took.
Yeah.
So that was, I don't know, October or November, right when I took over. And yes, that's right above the light switch in my office. So every morning when I come on and I turn the light switch on, I look at that, and it's exactly that. It's pinching myself of, holy cow, this is the awesome, amazing team that I get the opportunity and the honor to lead. And it's hard to believe, but it's really exciting.
What made you crazy enough to apply to be the wing commander?
Crazy enough, indeed. So opportunity.
Yeah.
My entire career, I think, and I kind of give this advice to people that I mentor of taking those opportunities. So I would describe myself as an opportunist. So anytime there's an opportunity that comes available, I apply and I put my name into the hat and see if it works out. Many times it doesn't, but sometimes it does. And you can't win if you don't play, right? But I would say the opportunity is certainly one of them, but the other one, the timing was perfect. So in my civilian job, they rotate us out every 3 years or so.
Oh, really?
And I was right at the 3-year point for my last assignment at NGAI. And this opportunity came open, and the fact that it was an AGR, which allowed me to go on military leave from NGA. Otherwise, if it was a technician, I wouldn't be able to do it. And so I fully intend, after my tour is up, my 3, 4, 5-year tour here at the wing, to go back to my civilian career and vacate this position and leave it for the next person to take the wing and go forward.
What is your civilian position?
So the position I left, so I work at NGA, National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. It used to be NEMA. They make all the maps and charts and things
Sure.
like that. The majority of my time was spent in the Aeronautical Navigation Office, so creating all the maps and charts and digital GPS database stuff used by all the DoD pilots. So it was really cool to be able to create all of the products during my civilian job and then come out here at night and fly on those products in the airplane. So that was really cool. I had actually transitioned over to the Office of Geomatics at NGA, leading 300 really smart PhD dudes. I was the dumbest person in that office by far, and they were literally measuring the size and scope and scale and changing dynamics of the Earth, and so plate tectonics and how the Earth breathes in and out. All in an effort to maintain accuracy for the GPS constellation and for missiles and munitions and all those types of things, so that you could identify a point in time and space on the Earth down to sub-millimeter accuracy. And accuracy is in so many things that we do, including timing and communications and all those types of things. So yeah, huge eye-opening experience for me. And that was my last assignment.
Wow.
3 years leading that organization.
So you become the wing commander. When you think about all the accomplishments and the history of the wing, was it intimidating to take command of the wing? Were you a little bit like, whoa, what am I getting myself into?
No, I wouldn't say it was intimidating. It was really exciting. So I had been in this wing for a very long time, and I had always thought, man, if I ever get the opportunity to be a commander or the wing commander, there's a lot of things that I'd like to do differently and what I think are better ways to do things. Not intimidating, but I would say the other aspect of that makes it really exciting is our heritage and our history of this wing, right? And so I mentioned this at our orientation meetings when I welcome all the new airmen to our wing and talk to them about that heritage and our history and the the heritage history of our patch.
Yeah.
I actually carry with me in this patch our legacy patch from the 344th Bomb Wing.
Yeah,
right,
nice.
we win or die. And I don't see it up on your board over there, so I'll have to get one up, hanging up there for you.
Thanks, I appreciate
But,
that. That would be cool.
Yeah, so I shared the story that my grandfather flew B-24s in World War II. This predecessor organization, our predecessor wing, the 344th, flew B-26s in World War II and dropping bombs on Nazis in Normandy, the Battle of Normandy, and all these types of things. So what I share with all of our new airmen when they come in is that we stand on the shoulders of heroes, literally heroes in our history. And that's just one example, and there are several other predecessor organizations. You know, the 108th ARS goes back almost 100 years.
Yeah.
And so you think about all of the airmen that came before us and all the cool things that they've got to do and heroic things that they've got to do. And it's a real blessing to be a part of this wing and a blessing to continue that tradition on into the future, I think. So that's what makes it exciting. That's what makes it really cool to get up and come to work every day.
It was exciting to learn that the 344th was one of the bomber wings that was in that TV show Masters of the Air.
Oh,
I
yeah?
believe is.
That's cool.
I think it's set on the 100th. They call it it's the bloody 100th, but I guess the way the bomber wings were back then, the 344th was underneath the bloody 100th.
It was a group, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was pretty cool to learn that.
So the other cool thing about that. Some people know this, but General Minahan, the AMC, the 4-star commander, his grandfather flew in that unit, the 344th. And so if y'all don't know, we've got a nose art with that heritage patch on there. And when General Minahan came out and visited us a couple months ago and went flying with us, we were able to give him one of those patches and take a picture of him in front of an airplane with his grandfather's seal on that nose art. And so he's always been a proponent of our wing, not just because of that, but because of all the cool things that we do. So that's a cool connection for sure.
Yeah. So what are your goals and priorities as commander of the wing?
So we have, hopefully this isn't a surprise to anyone listening, we have 4 goals and 2 priorities. Our 4 goals are captured in our strategy, and if you see me walking around, I will most likely have the strategy in my hand. Our 4 goals align by design with the 4 major graded areas. So my intent for that is if we have to do that anyway, if we have to report out on the major graded areas for the Air Force inspection system, well, they might as well be our goals. And oh, by the way, our OPBs and our EPBs identify those same things. And so holding us all accountable to those 4 goals at the Air Force level, but also at the wing level, I think is important. So our number 1 goal is lead people. Number 2 is execute the mission. 3, manage our resources. And then number 4 is improve the unit.
Right.
Those are the 4 main goals. We report and hold ourselves accountable every Thursday at 9 via Teams. So if y'all don't know, for listening in, we open up that meeting to anyone who's willing to dial in and listen in to hear about how we are meeting the intent of our goals, how we're tracking progress on those. We also have commanders who are DSGs, and so they're able to dial in and talk with us through what their specific unit is doing to get after these goals. So I'd encourage everyone to listen into that 9 o'clock meeting on Thursday because it is a really, really good meeting. So 4 goals, 2 priorities. The first priority is people or what I call manpower. So manpower and money and manpower are the 2 priorities that we have. So we also track those in Tuesday meetings. So ensuring that all of our vacancies across the wing are advertised. They are everyone's aware of the vacancies so that they can tell their friends that we're hiring. If they're interested in changing FSCs, they can do that as well. And so we highlight and I hold the unit commanders accountable to filling all of their vacancies across the wing. Manpower is a critical, fundamental issue that if we don't fix that, there's so many things downstream of it that are affected.
Sure.
So readiness, morale, certainly. If you have your unit filled at 100%, you can spread the workload more evenly. You don't have people picking up the slack. And so just recently I implemented or tasked Lieutenant Colonel Okanuski to lead a Tiger team, a manpower Tiger team, to look after additional ways for us to fill all those vacancies we have. This is also a nod to General McDonough, our A-tag for Illinois. That's one of his top priorities, is getting 100% end strength for all of the wings in Illinois. So we want to follow suit with that, and we think that's important. So that's the manpower side of things. So money's the other side of things. We can't do what we do without the manpower, but also without money. And so we rely on congressional budgets and budgets from the National Guard Bureau. And so I think it's incumbent upon us as good stewards of taxpayer dollars to spend that money to meet as many requirements as we can and not turn any money back in. So I would rather spend more money than less money. And so we've leaned into that heavily and focused on requirements that we can meet within the budget that we've been given.
Public Affairs can help you spend that money.
Yeah, good.
We've got a list. We can write up a list anytime you want.
So you mentioned the list, right?
Yeah.
One of the cool initiatives I think is the wing gets rebates every year. Mm-hmm. So for airmen that pay their government travel cards on time, for filling out your Aeros vouchers and your DTS vouchers and all those types of things, for all of us that does that on time, those organizations give us rebates as a wing. Oh. And so our intent, we will be doing this, is those rebates will be applied directly to the airmen and quality of life initiatives. Cool. So we have a running list of quality of life things, investments, initiatives across the wing that we intend to fund using the rebates that all the airmen helped us get. And so we'll be reaching out to the Rising Six and other organizations to help us populate that list of things you want to do. So make sure and add any PA type of stuff on that list that you'd like, and we'll see if we can fund it with the rebates. Anything in particular on the quality of life that you've identified already? Well, so this was apparently funded in the past, the gym with new gym equipment. So that's always an easy kill, right? So if there's some additional gym equipment you all would like to help with your quality of life. In my mind, the space that you were just occupying in your interim, right? So to me, that'd be really cool to turn that into a chaplain space. And for those of us that have deployed before, I think one of the best places to hang out while you're deployed is the chapel space, because they've got movies and comfortable seatings and couches and books and everything's out, just kind of a place to go hang out. And so that would be one of my recommendations, is to kind of outfit that space to have our chapels. Which, oh, by the way, that's right next to the Airmen and Family Readiness Center. So that kind of part of our campus being a airman fitness side of our campus, I think would be really cool. Which would fall under the first strategy. Yeah, that's right. Exactly. So the wing strategy's been out for 6 months now, or almost 6 months. So how well do you think the wing is following it? Hopefully they're following it good. We as I mentioned, we have Thursday meetings every Thursday at 9 o'clock where we evaluate ourselves and hold ourselves accountable to meeting this strategy. We've designed our battle rhythm around the strategy so that I am intrusively making sure everyone is following it. When I talked about earlier the orientation class, so I welcome all the new airmen to the wing. Part of that orientation, I ask everyone, I give them all homework, I ask them all to read the strategy, because I think it's important that we're all on the same sheet of music, we're all operating off the same playbook. And I say this to them, and I mean it, right? If we have 900 people across our wing and we're all operating off of the same playbook, we're all marching in the same direction, there's some really, really cool transformational things that we can do as an organization. And so I'm excited about it. If you have tuned into those 9 o'clock meetings on Thursdays, you can see the evolution of that. And man, I think we're hitting our stride. The one we had today was improving the unit and just going around the room to all the different unit commanders and them updating how they've leaned into this goal and how they're improving their own units. It is really, really exciting to hear all the things that they're doing. So I think the unit commanders are embracing it, and it's percolating its way down. And it's my favorite meeting. I don't think anyone ever says that. They love meetings. That is a meeting that I absolutely love, of hearing from all the unit commanders of the things they're doing to help us get after the strategy. So that's cool. So before you ask the next one, so I'll just say this is a living document. So these were our first initial FY24 goals, and my intent is at the end of this calendar year is to meet with the unit commanders and evaluate how we did on meeting our objectives, and then create new ones for next year. And so we will have certainly new tactical level objectives, and perhaps some new strategic level objectives for next year. And we'll just always want to keep getting better and doing things better and identifying where the gaps and seams are and leaning into those to make our organization better. Why is the wing strategy so important? Yeah, so I did touch on it, right?
Yeah.
I mentioned this actually when I interviewed for this position with General McDonough. That was one of the gaps that I had seen in the wing before, is that people had different strategies in different organizations, and kind of we had airmen and units going in a bunch of different directions. And I don't know that that's the right way to do things. I don't know that you can, again, achieve true transformational change unless and until you're all operating off of the same playbook. And that is the intent of our strategy. That's why I mention it to all of our new airmen. That's why we hold ourselves accountable every Thursday. Yes, for all of us to be on the same sheet of music, I think is really important. So the other thing I wanted to comment on that, this isn't my strategy, right? It's our strategy.
Right.
And so if I'm not available, or your unit commanders are not available, or group commanders are not available, that shouldn't stop the progress or the momentum of the organization. As long as we have a solid strategy in place, everyone follows the strategy regardless of the leaders, whether they're here or not. And so that's another benefit, I think, of having that strategy and that specific guidance outlined, so we know where we're going. You don't need me here to tell you where to go. Just as long as you get your strategy, and we'll march along that same path together.
Switching gears, I guess, a little bit. You had an interesting way of getting here to Illinois. Where did you grow up?
So I was born in North Dakota. My parents got divorced. I moved to California for a couple of years, but I spent the majority of my childhood in the southwest corner of Montana, so in the Rocky Mountains.
Nice.
Yes,
so
beautiful.
You're probably familiar with, my wife's from Gillette, Wyoming.
Okay.
So
Yep.
just southeast of where you grew up.
Yellowstone, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
Yellowstone, all that.
Yep.
So got to ask this, where did you go to college?
So I went to, so growing up in Montana, I knew that I wanted to fly airplanes. I knew I wanted to go in the Air Force, and so I applied to the Air Force Academy. Went through that whole process, and the congressional nomination process. My congressman, said, "Hey, you did a really good job. We just don't have any Air Force slots for you, so you can pick any other academy that you want to go to, and you can have a nomination for that." And so I did some research and found the Merchant Marine Academy, which I hadn't heard about, in Kings Point, New York. Found out that I could go 4 years there and then graduate and go into any service I wanted. So from day one, I had intended to go there, graduate, and go in the Air Force. And so I left the mountains of Montana and went to New York City for college, and I'd never seen the ocean at all. And then I spent the next 4 years learning how to drive boats around the world. Part of the curriculum, really cool, 6 months your sophomore, 6 months your junior year, you spend on a ship sailing around the world with on-the-job training. So it was a really, really cool experience. I was there on September 11th in New York City, and all kinds of things. So anyway, had fully intended to go there for 4 years, graduate and go in the Air Force and become a pilot. And then around the end of my junior year, heard about the Air National Guard, and then applied to a bunch of different Air National Guard units, and that's kind of what brought me here.
Why'd you pick Illinois and the 126th?
Funny story. So flip of a coin, basically. So,
oh, really?
Yeah. As I mentioned, my family was kind of moving around. I was coming out of college, and so I really didn't have a place that I wanted to settle. I didn't have a family or anywhere. So I sent applications out to guard units all over the country. And I knew I wanted to fly heavy airplanes because I was thinking at the time I wanted to go in the airlines, and that seemed like a logical flow through. And so sent out, 20 or so applications to different units out there. I ended up interviewing with, I think, 4 or 5 of them, and then I got selected by Tennessee and Scott Air Force Base, and I didn't know one from the other. And the reason why I picked it is because the address at the time for the headquarters building here was 2151 Golf Course Road, and I played golf at the time. I'm like, all right, I like playing golf, so I'll just choose Scott, and that's what brought me here. And 22 years later, it's hard to believe.
Did you get to play a lot of golf?
No, no, I haven't played a lot of golf in a long time. So I suppose that's what happens when you start a family and you have kids. And instead of 4 hours of golf, I am 4 hours of running kids to sports practices and watching volleyball and cheerleading and basketball and all those types of things. So yeah, occasionally I'll get to go out and hit the balls around, but yeah, not as much as I used to.
What have been some highlights of your career?
So this weekend, or I guess it was on Monday, Lieutenant Colonel Loudon, I officiated his retirement ceremony.
Yeah.
And him and I grew up in this wing together. We started at the same time. We were lieutenants together, and so his career and mine kind of paralleled each other through the first half of that. And listening to him describe in his speech, all the things that he got to do throughout his career. It was kind of sentimental to me because all of those things I was doing also. Him and I went on a humanitarian relief mission for Hurricane Katrina. So flew supplies and security forces and people in and out of the Katrina disaster area, which was a really, really cool experience. I don't know, every Vogue field, we talked about that this morning, as much as it was painful, those are the types of memories you look back on. You're like, yeah, it's kind of fun for us to pick up and go someplace else and fight a war out of Oak Field. Obviously, Guam and OUP operating out of Germany and Spain. And all the deployments, all the TDYs, it has been a true blessing, and all the cool opportunities that have come out of this assignment and this job have been amazing. So can I say all of it? All of it is good.
Yeah, you can say all of it. Why not? I mean, all of it. Who have been some influences, some mentors in your career that have led you, to this spot?
Yeah, I've had a lot of mentors. Certainly in my civilian career, and a lot of the feedback that I get as mentors, which has driven me into this opportunist attitude of, yes, apply for that opportunity. You may or may not get it, but at least you can say that you applied for it. So that's been one of the feedback that I've gotten from the mentors. I think specifically Colonel Reynolds. He was here actually for Lieutenant Colonel Loudon's retirement. So he's been retired now for, I think he said 10 years. And so he was one of my first squadron commanders. Really liked Colonel Reynolds. Colonel Hammond, I tell a story about him. When he was the wing commander and I was a brand new pilot, I had some finance issues. I had been in the unit for several months, and he kind of heard about it and took me under his wing and fixed that right away. And so that was one of my first interactions with a wing commander, and I thought that was really cool of how he handled that problem. And I tell that story a lot. Peers, I mean, all the people I grew up with in this unit, looking to them for help and assistance. And I got the opportunity to spend time at JFHQ as an assignment as the A3 for Illinois. Lots of mentors up there. Worked with General Nizamis, worked with General McDonough. And there's too many to count. There's been a lot of them. Sure.
Where did you get your love for flying?
So love for flying, I think, came from my stepdad. When we grew up in Montana, he had a small airplane, and we would go flying every weekend. It seemed like we'd all pile in the airplane and go flying around, put the golf clubs in the back, fly up, all around southwestern Montana. And I ended up getting my private pilot's license when I was a senior in high school. So that kind of started the interest in aviation, certainly at that age. And that continues today. I have my own airplane now. I share it with a couple other folks, and I get to fly on the weekends, put the golf clubs in the back, and fly out to restaurants and just kind of explore and do, explore the Midwest and all the different things you can do there, which is fun.
Any places that you've been recently that you've enjoyed more than any other? Any others stick out?
Yeah, so a couple months ago, we flew to Heber Springs, Arkansas, which was really cool. Fly in the airport there, and we actually have foldable bikes that we can put in the back of the airplane, and so we'll get those out and kind of drive around the town. This one was right on a lake, so we ended up swimming in the lake. They had a resort right there at the airfield, restaurants all around, and so that was one of them. My kids love going to Sykeston, Missouri, and getting throwed rolls.
Throwed rolls, yeah.
Yes. So it's funny. So when you land, you can call up the airport, call up the restaurant, and they will send a shuttle to come pick you up and then take you in the back door and sit you right away. And my kids think that's the greatest thing. It's like a limousine coming to pick them up and take them out to dinner. And so that's really cool. We like doing that. That's a usual spot. And yeah, we literally have a list. It's 2 pages long of just all the different airports and airfields we've gone around, flying into and out of, and that's something fun we like to do.
Memorial Day's coming up. Were you heading somewhere?
Yep, heading to South Haven, Michigan.
Okay.
So northeast of here. It's like a 2-hour flight, but yeah, my girlfriend, she has family, or her grandparents used to live there. She would visit there every summer. So we're going to go up there and
nice.
See where she grew up and spend some time on the beach and riding around restaurants and doing the fun things. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, I heard a lot of good things about Lake Michigan, especially in the on that Michigan side.
Yep, I've heard that too. I just heard this morning Colonel Kopp was mentioning that specific location is always on some top 10 vacation spot for a good place to go. So this will be my first time, and yeah, looking forward to it.
It's called New Haven?
South Haven.
South Haven.
South Haven, I think that's what it's called.
Okay, all right. So you've kind of answered this already, but what else do you do in your free time?
Yes, fly. Yeah, I like to do the out and backs, the lunch and backs. I love spending time with my kids, and they're all different ages, from 14 all the way down to, 15 now, all the way down to 7, turning 8 next month. And yeah, just spending time with them outside. And we just opened our pool last weekend, so we were able to swim in there. I love taking them hiking, various different places around here, Southern Illinois, Southern Missouri, lots of good places to go hiking. We love escape rooms.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, doing that. Yeah, just spending time as a family doing things. It's that's what I like doing, for sure.
It's got to be hard being a single dad. How many kids do you have?
4 kids.
4 kids?
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep.
You got your hands full.
4 kids, that's right. So the oldest is a boy, and then 3 girls behind that. And as I mentioned earlier, they're into all the different sports, and school's just out, so they're excited to hit summer and do all the things in summer. So yeah, it's good.
All right.
It's good.
All right, one more burning question before we go. Cardinals or Cubs?
Cardinals, absolutely. So I've been in St. Louis now, or in Illinois, for longer than I've been anywhere else in my life. And so people ask me where I'm from, and yeah, that's my answer. I've been here longer than anyone else, so I might as well be here. And that includes the sports teams I've been around longer than anywhere else. So I think by proximity, by longevity, yeah, certainly I'm a Cardinals fan.
Awesome. You and I went to the same soccer game. I went to that game. Yeah. I didn't see you. I heard you talk about it later that you were at the soccer game.
Yeah. Taking the was that the
Houston the Cup game?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the one in February.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Have you been to more?
I have. So that's what I was asking. We went to the minor league soccer one. So they do it in the same. They do it in the same stadium.
Yeah.
Tickets are really cheap. So when you have a bunch of kids, it's better to take them all there and do that. And yeah, it was fun. But we used vet ticks for that other one to get in and see that other St. Louis City game, and that was awesome. First soccer game I've been to. That was fun.
Yeah, I like to tell people I'm a big proponent of vet ticks. I tell people about vet ticks all the time. All right. Well, sir, thanks for joining us in our new podcast studio. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries. Anytime. Thank you.
All right. That is the 126th Air Refueling Wing Commander, Colonel Nick Henschel.
Airmen and Guardians with dependents who move to a professional military education or training location will now receive per diem equal to the housing allowance without dependent rate. The updated policy applies to members who will be at the location for less than a year and have orders to return to their prior duty station after completing school or training. They also cannot live in no-cost government quarters during the course period. Short moves can be disruptive to the lives and finances of Airmen and Guardians with families. Retroactive payments will be made to members who meet the established criteria for courses on or after December 23, 2022. 6 installations are set to take the first steps in forming new Air Force combat wings this summer. Experimental air task forces will test new ways to generate deployable units of action under the Air Force Force Generation Model, or AFRGEN. The pilot program establishes command staff in each location with a goal of creating units of action that work, train and deploy together through each phase of the AFRIGEN cycle. Air Force Chief of Staff General David Alvin calls the Air Task Forces pathfinding learning organizations that will help shape the forthcoming combat wing design. Department of the Air Force senior leaders met recently to discuss the current state of the force and explore innovative strategies for improving recruitment and talent management. Alex Wagner, Assistant Secretary of the Air Force for Manpower and Reserve Affairs, highlighted 3 key efforts: recruiting for a different generation, improving support to family members, and reimagining military career talent management policies. Wagner says the Air Force and Space Force are 2 high-tech forces that are not only trying to attract a different type of talent from the American people, but retain them for a longer period of time. That's your look around the Air Force. I'm Staff Sergeant Stephanie Barge.
If you are having thoughts of suicide or know someone in crisis, call the Military Crisis Line 988. That's 988, then press 1. You can find all of our links on Linktree. That's linktr.ee/126. If you're watching on YouTube, you can also download this on your favorite podcast app. If you want to pass along some information, you can email rollcall at 126rollcall@gmail.com. Thanks for listening to Roll Call, a 126th Air Refueling Wing podcast focused on people, mission, and community. I'm Master Sergeant Brian Ellison.
500 stable.
$50, $30, $20, $10.